Welcome to the Last Mile Profits videocast, the last word on the last mile. Royal Mail in the UK is in turmoil. What you don't need is for your leader to crumble under public scrutiny. Find out more after this. Modern Expo provides an integral ecosystem of screen-operated lockers, screenless autonomous solutions, refrigerated lockers, and even personal parcel lockers, powered by an in-house developed software. It's Groundhog Day again. The Royal Mail has had another tumultuous week. Marek, what's going on in the UK?
Wow. Hello, Peter. Hello, everyone. I'm not really sure because I have to say, I looked at I'm not sure what it's called. Is it Parliamentary Special Committee?
We're looking at the Commons Business Committee, yes, who dragged our dear Royal Mail CEO up for what looked like a slap on the wrist, but I'm afraid the naughty boy didn't perform very well, did he?
Listen, it was Peter. For me, it was a little bit like a soap opera gone wrong. To be fair to Simon Thompson, the CEO, it really was a little bit like Christians in the Colosseum because he was getting some very, very tough questions, some of them unfair, some of them fair. And this is the thing that worries me. Some of the fair ones, perhaps, he could have answered better.
Where in particular do you mean by that? Well, he tripped up, didn't he?
He was asked about a PDA, and the parliamentary guy, I can't remember what he called it, but he used slightly wrong terminology, but it was pretty obvious it was a PDA I'd have imagined. And I think the issue was, first of all, Simon Thompson wasn't answering giving straight answers to some of the questions. And then the PDA thing, which was made out by the politicians and arguably by the unions, although they weren't active in the discussion, to be a sort of, as you said in a discussion we had earlier, spy in the cab. It isn't. It's a tool that actually everybody uses. It can make drivers or posties' lives a lot easier if it's used well. And yes, it does, shall we say, control productivity. But, at the end of the day, it should mean that you can be more productive, you get more work done, you can potentially earn more for the company and therefore for yourself. Of course, if it's used in a bad way, which was the suggestion, then that's not such a good deal. But I think that, he was caught off guard with that and with other things. But for me, the big issue is Peter, I don't know your view, but for me, Royal Mail is a company that is in trouble. And you really do need a very, very experienced pair of hands.
We're looking at somebody who perhaps isn't an industry veteran who's got his hand on the tiller right now. Is that fair point?
Yeah, you've got. I think that's a really good example. You've got a ship in the middle of one hell of a storm, and we've got a very inexperienced captain at the helm. Not inexperienced in terms of business, but last mile is quite specific. Within last mile, posts are quite specific, and the issues abound, ranging from people issues to investment issues to let's call it governmental issues related to the universal obligation. So there's a lot of different issues there. My view is, I don't know if it was possible, but either in his case I'd have had someone really strong sitting beside him, or at least to have done some better preparation. But maybe I'm being unfair.
I don't know. It's you are a rabbit caught in the headlights on these things, not just in front of a small committee, but usually live TV cameras as well. Maybe the guy is just not used to that kind of environment. We looked at his background earlier. He's come out of business, but possibly not necessarily media facing, possibly not necessarily customer facing. Yeah, there's a lot of noise around the Royal Mail at the moment with cyber attacks and the unions and the government just at loggerheads. It just feels like it doesn't feel like a very pleasant place to be sitting right now for our dear CEO.
To be honest, I'm not convinced it's a pleasant place for anyone, because at the end of the day, it's not comfortable for the employees, the guys at the front line and girls at the front line who have to make things happen because they don't know from day to day what's going to be taking place. My view is that we've got to the point where the sides have become very entrenched. So we've got the CEO and management who appear to be taking quite a strong and perhaps even, intransigent stance. You've got the unions who also seem to be very sort of clear that they think they're right. The impression I've got is they're talking at each other, not to each other. And this is really bad news because, as we've seen, this is going on and on. At the end of the day, both sides keep talking about the customer, but in my view, Peter, the group that's losing most in the short term is the customer. The group that will lose most in the medium to long term actually is the company and its employees.
Yes, I think also from the customer's perspective, the argument is also a little bit mixed in with some of the issues they've had around the operational side of their business of late, what with cyber attacks, and they're saying they're not sending parcels now because they want to prioritize letters. And there's been some fun on Twitter around this topic with some people saying, "Wow, do they still send letters? I thought those days are gone," and that sort of thing. And people saying, "Well, who uses Royal Mail for parcels anyway? If you want to send a parcel, surely you'd use one of the private service providers."
I think, and that's exactly it. This is something that they need to address. We're running a little bit low on time, but so I'll just mention one other thing. I was looking at what's happening elsewhere, and to be fair, it's not just a challenge at Royal Mail. I think Royal Mail is a particularly acute example of what's happening. But I'm not sure whether it's already happened or there's about to be industrial action at Deutsche Post. So it's happening in Europe as well. I spoke to our buddy Gregor Gowans from Transinfo, who mentioned that there was something that I think has been averted in Holland at PostNL. The interesting thing is Daniel Kretinsky, the main shareholder of Royal Mail, I think is also, if not the main, one of the most important shareholders of PostNL. So at least he's managed, one would feel, to solve the issue at PostNL through his team there. So, let's see. Peter, I think it's going to be really interesting times ahead. I really hope Royal Mail can get out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be great to have a little glimpse of Mr. Kretinsky's inbox. I wonder how many of those messages are CC'd to the Netherlands that are also CC'd to the UK. Interesting sort of commonality there with some of the issues going on. Well, lovely chatting to you, Marek. Let's have a little see how this plays out and reconvene on this topic shortly.
Absolutely. The only thing I'd say, because this is really an emotive topic, maybe we've got it wrong. There's lots of you guys and girls at the front line there, so we'd really love to hear your comments. The last material we did, we had an awful lot of, I would say, engagement. So please, if we've got it wrong, let us know. If we've got it right, let us know. If we've got it partly right, let us know.
Thank you for watching the Last Mile Profits video. For more free analysis of the last mile, please like, follow and subscribe below to ensure you are notified every time we upload new content.